When things aren't going well, there's a lot of noise out there. There's a lot of people talking that don't know what they're talking about. And then when things go great, you have to, give them a message sometimes. So, Coach Cronin, do you have a message for the haters?
Yes.
On today's episode of Titus and Tate, we have the one and only. It really happened. This is not a joke, America. We have the head men's basketball coach of the University of California, Los Angeles, of your mighty Bruins.
I'm
Mick
speechless.
Cronin.
I mean, honestly, I was speechless during the interview, so I can't even believe that it happened. I can't believe that it exists.
We were all speechless during it. In fact, it didn't even happen. We're just going to play. The interview was 20 minutes of silence.
We just sat there on the phone. It was like a Mexican standoff. Really.
I was very nervous to talk to him for obvious reasons. One, we were doing it over the phone, Tate, which doing interviews over the phone is hard because you can't get the feedback. When you're being an idiot, you want the guy sitting across from you to make faces that are like, huh? What you talking about, Dana? You want that feedback?
Yes. You want to see it in someone's eyes.
And you don't have that over the phone, obviously. So there was that. There was also Mick Cronin has this, he has a very fiery personality, as we know, on the sidelines. But then we've also seen him, you and I have seen him even this year.
Be the all shucks guy in the press conference.
The all shucks guy.
Yes, very Roy Williams like. Yes.
So he's kind of like living in both worlds, and we're unsure of which Mick Cronin we're going to get. And I don't know. We're going to have to tune in to the rest of the episode and find out later.
That's a teaser, folks.
Yeah, there you go.
We'll get there. But first, we got to talk about basketball because you reprimanded me this weekend. You said, we've been having all these guests. We've been having all these shows.
We've been having too much fun, damn it.
No, you were like, we got to talk basketball. And honestly, you're right. I mean, I looked at the calendar again. And I looked at my Twitter. I saw John Rossian had tweeted 15 more times that this is, in fact, March, and I thought to myself, it is time to talk about basketball, and conference tournament time is here, so we're going to do that today.
You've been weirdly not that interested in this season. I don't know why. I don't know what's going on. What's going on with you this year? I don't get why you seem.
But I have a Kimba candidate, and he plays for North Carolina.
This is the last show we are doing of the regular season. It dawned on me as we were sitting down that this is as we were watching all these senior nights going on. You're like, oh my god, this is it. This is by the next time we're doing a show, which will be next Tuesday.
Rex Pfluger will never play for Notre Dame again in that building.
So here's what we're doing today. We're going over our Kemba candidates. This is something that Tate and I and really a lot of people in the world of college basketball love. The Kemba Walker 2011 run was insane, and it was led by it was the greatest instance of one man carrying a team to a title. So we're going to go over the guys that we think might fit that bill, but probably won't. But just for the sake of having to create content, we're going to talk about them nonetheless.
We're saying maybe one day they could be a candidate where we say that person was a insert, Jeff Jackson candidate.
Right.
Who knows?
Right.
Jeff Jackson Simpson, to be exact.
We're going to do that, and we're going to preview some conference tournaments a little bit. All right, before we get started, want to once again plug our T-shirts that Homage made for us. Thank you, Homage, for doing that. If you're into our, if you're into the show and you want to wear a T-shirt, I tweeted like, if you want to tell people
what
that you love.
Now I want to buy a T-shirt. if you like the show, you want to wear a T-shirt. Wear a T-shirt.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a little insecure about it because people were chirping at me about the price and about all this and that. And it's like,
what were they saying?
It's a free country. Don't buy the shirt if you don't want to. I'm not going to put a gun to your head. Do whatever you want.
The problem is that inflation is not adjusted, for everyone in the world. It's only adjusted at the top.
We do have a promo code, Tate. This is for listeners only. This is for the people who actually.
Is it 4 letters?
No, it's not.
Okay.
As it turns out, you can have longer promo codes than 4 letters.
Who would have thought that?
The promo code is friend of the program. It gets you 20% off of
That's
a
T-shirt.
T-shirt. So if you're bitching about how much it costs, like we don't make the prices. We have nothing to do with it. We just sign off on it. We're just like, yeah, Tate, I don't really care. Whatever. But yeah, 20% off. That's a lot of money.
That's
right?
a lot of money.
So yeah, go to Homage, use friend of the program. You get 20% off the shirt. You can do that. Also, I want to say Dirty Laundry, we are going to bring it back. We're not going to do it on this show today, but we have some submissions already. We're locking and loaded. We just need more. We needed more. we had a few good ones, but we want enough to like actually rattle through them and then pick a winner. So we will be doing that and giving out free T-shirts next week.
And again, we need reviews too. So if you go in and you put in reviews and they're funny, we're going to find you. We don't know how it's going to work, but we know that the usernames are different than your actual usernames on Apple Podcasts. But we'll sift through it.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out a way to get people to review on Apple Podcasts. podcast and give us 5 stars.
Someone at
and then
Apple,
we
tell
give out
us.
free shirts.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out. Yeah.
2 shirts.
Eddie Q. Figure,
Where is
figure
this
this out for us.
dude, man?
But yeah, send us dirty laundry, Titus and Tate at gmail.com. You can do that. And yeah, friend of the program is the promo code at Homage. Somehow Homage just cracked the code. They figured out a way to get a promo code that's longer than 4 letters.
Who would have thought?
Anyway, Tate, we got to talk about basketball.
Yes.
What is what's going on? What's that smile on your face?
Well, I'm finally excited to talk about basketball because again, you reprimanded me, so I got I really want to just run down like pretty much everything that matters in the world of basketball, which is conference tournament time, which is the period of time where everyone latches on to these certain characters in the world of college basketball, and they're like, that's my guy. And we mentioned it at the top of the show, and those are the Kemba candidates, right? So we wanted to run through all the point guards that you're going to fall in love with. I like to think for me, it was John Lucas III.
He was the original.
The third. That was the original Kemba candidate. You know what I mean? Not John Lucas. John Lucas III with Oklahoma State. That was the first guy that was like, he's the one. He's the one that I align with. He's the one that can carry this team. Juan Dixon was a similar guy that was a Kemba candidate in my mind. But that's to set the stage that we're going to talk about basketball. We're going to talk about the conference tournaments, and we're going to talk about Kemba candidates. And my first pick, can I draft my first?
We're
Kemba
just
candidate?
jumping right into it.
What do you want to do?
I don't know. Yeah, we can jump right into it.
Should we thank Homage again? No. Thank you, Homage, for those T-shirts. I love those T-shirts.
I don't know. I don't know if you want to set the stage more, if you wanted to get nostalgic about Kemba, if you wanted to. We can dive right into it. Let's just dive. I feel like people understand the premise. You did a good job of explaining the premise.
The premise is pretty simple. Yeah. I mean, a guy that can carry your team. And Mick Cronin actually mentioned this in his press conference Saturday night that we went to it against Arizona. He said the thing about Kemba is he had to play all the games in the Big East tournament. That's why we remember it so fondly, because it's so hard to win a conference tournament when you have to play every single round.
So I guess I want to make that clear that this is not a 1-for-1 comparison. Mm-hmm. So if the people I'm going to pick are not necessarily, what was UConn that year, like 9th in the Big East?
Exactly.
These are not guys that are necessarily, they don't have to be 9th in their conference. They don't have to have like a Jeremy Lamb site. Like, it's not about that. It's basically like a team that a guy who could carry a team to a national title by himself, basically.
Yeah, this is not the Markel Johnson pick for the ACC tournament where you're like NC State can make a run. Yeah. Markel Johnson could be Kemba Walker in that sense, or so maybe it is. Maybe that's my pick. I don't know. You'll see.
All right, dive into it. Let's get into it. Okay. Go ahead.
So the first Kemba candidate that I have starts on the West Coast again. This is a West Coast podcast. Mm-hmm. I'm a West Coast basketball guy at this point. Peyton Pritchard.
Ooh, I like this.
See, I don't think Peyton Pritchard is going to win National Player of the Year. But I also think that in the world of, again, we have Mick Cronin at the end of this podcast, or coming up on this podcast, so I don't want to say anything, against UCLA.
I want to make clear, by the way, we're recording this before Oregon plays tonight. They're playing Cal.
Yes.
I think they're like 15-point favorites.
Yes.
We're doing that on purpose. We want to have one more show in the bank where UCLA is in first place by themselves.
Exactly.
So we're trying to get this done before.
We are rigging the system so UCLA can ride.
But we just witnessed Ohio State. So like if you're trying to, Ohio State just beat Illinois. But yeah, so that's about the timeline we're working on right now.
Okay, so we're in between that timeline right there. Okay, we're right in the sweet spot. So anyways, Peyton Pritchard in Oregon, a team that is, again, like you said, they have a chance to be first in the Pac-12, to tie UCLA and the Bruins. Okay, so that can happen, right? Peyton Pritchard is the guy that is sort of forgotten in the whole National Player of the Year situation because of you and the Dayton Flyers and Obi Toppin. Everyone has basically decided he is the guy. Mm-hmm. So Peyton Pritchard has a chip on his shoulder. I like when he has a chip on his shoulder. Mm-hmm. He's going to make a run in the tournament. He's going to be in Las Vegas. Kemba candidate.
Oregon last year. So are you saying for conference tournaments? You saying for?
I'm saying for conference. This is for conference.
This is for your conference tournament.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
I want to save all these guys for conference tournaments, and then when we get, let's repackage it again and be like, guess what? Now it's different Kemba candidates.
Well, my list is for NCAA tournaments. This is perfect.
Okay, so Peyton Pritchard's for the NCAA tournament. Both tournaments. He's a tournament player. He's a PTPer, as Dickie V would like to say.
It applies to both. It's just guys who can just take over and be great all the month of March. So who cares? It works for both. If Peyton Pritchard, if he's dominating the Pac-12 tournament, it stands to reason that when the NCAA tournament starts, he could also be the kind of guy that could score 35 points in must-win games and all that, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. All right, my number three pick. We're doing our top three, correct?
Yes.
So we're working backwards, or you just ripping.
This is that was my number three going to my number one.
My number three is a man who should be number one, but I just gave it more thought, and I think just coming fresh off of the Villanova game, it's got me rattled a little bit. It's Miles Powell, who I think if you did a vote, it's either him or Marcus Howard has got to be the pick that everyone would make. And I think if you asked me this a month ago, I was no-brainer. Miles Powell is number one. Seton Hall plays great defense. Miles Powell we know what he can do scoring. He's done it all season. Just kind of, I'm a little worried that he chucks too much, Tate. I'm just a little worried that I don't think he can do it 6 games in a row in the NCAA tournament. I think he can do it on any given night, but he can't do it on any 6 given nights.
Okay,
6 straight nights.
See, that makes sense. That makes sense.
But as far as like the peak of Kemba-ness, as far as like if there's any one guy that can make you look like an idiot for not putting him at number 1, I feel like it's Myles Powell. Like he as far as like he'll take the dumbest shots, he'll make the dumbest shots. He has the capacity to score 48 points anytime he takes the court. So I'm really worried that I picked him at number 3 because that could come back to bite me and I could look stupid. But yeah, that's my number 3.
But we have been haul in all year, and you, in fact, I think that was the first team when we did the full,
When I was trying to do the pandering.
Yeah, you went with Seton Hall, and at that point we were like, okay, we deal with Myles Powell. Villanova played great in that game. Also, Seton Hall shot like 14% from 3 against Villanova in that game. So
got to make shots.
You got to make shots. So we're just blaming that I'm not making shots, and we know Myles Powell is a sincere guy. So, all right, number 2 on my list, right, as we move up the Kemba candidates, and it's a guy that I know that right now a lot of people are saying, I don't know about Duke, but I do know about one guy. And when it comes to tournament tie, Trey Jones is going to be there.
You have him on your list?
Number 2 on the list.
Oh my God, I had
Trey
him.
Jones, because it's the Jones family. It's the basketball Jones. I mean, it started with Titus, and it's come down to Trey. And when things like after what he did in Chapel Hill when he threw the ball off the rim, I'm just thinking to myself, this kid has something else, and it's just like his brother Titus. He has a real tournament chance to make a real run in the tournament, I should say. And Trey Jones. That's all I can really say.
I had him listed on my
honorable mentions.
As my honorable mention. I was going to put him in the top 3. He's the one guy that I would put in the top 3 that I left out. He's my number 1 honorable mention. I'll put it that way. I really wanted to put him in. I can't believe you put him on your list, but I'm 100% with you. Yeah.
Because to me, I'm looking at this conference tournament. I think Duke is going to win the ACC tournament. So I'm saying to myself, okay, Trey Jones is going to make a run. He's going to play really well. I mean, honestly, I think Cassius would be the guy that really steps up for Duke to be that second or third guy because they have Vernon Carey and Trey Jones. So if that were to happen in the tournament, I guess he would be the Kemba candidate because Trey's been doing it the whole time. But Trey Jones, number 2.
The other thing we have to remember with the Kemba stuff is that it's not just the one guy carrying the offense. And this isn't to say, by the way, this isn't to say like
it's the staging.
People are going to chime in and say, "What about Vernon Carey? That Vernon Carey is obviously an All-American. Are you saying that Vernon Carey sucks?" No, that's not what we're saying. We're saying that Trey Jones has the capacity, as we saw in North Carolina, to just say like, "I got this. Everyone get out of my way." And he could do that. But there's also you have to play good defense. That's the lost part on this. And spoiler, I do not have Marcus Howard on my list for that reason. Marcus Howard, not just individually, I'm talking about Marquette as a team. Like Marcus Howard could score a ton of points, but the Kemba recipe is great team defense, and then offense, you throw the ball to the one guy and he does all the scoring. And if Marquette is not going to play great team defense, then we're never going to have the Kemba moment with Marcus Howard, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a lock. And the Marquette fans are upset right now.
To that point, Trey Jones fits the bill because Duke does play for all Duke's problems. They can guard a little in comparison to the rest of the country. Like we're grading this on a sliding scale because like the teams this year, I don't feel like are as good as they usually are. But Duke plays defense as well as most of the top teams.
Well, and they were supposed to be known for at the start of the season. Everyone was like, Duke is the defensive first team. They're not a great scoring team, but they know how to play defense, and that sort of fell apart, for a little bit. But you got it, Trey Jones, number 2.
All right, my number 2, Tate, is a guy that we saw in person recently, another West Coast guy. I am going with Malachi Flynn, San Diego State. And again, it seems now that I'm actually seeing my list in front of me and we're fleshing this out, I can't believe I have Myles Powell at 3 and I have Malachi Flynn above him. Here's why. I don't think Malachi Flynn is better than Myles Powell. I think the current situation with San Diego State lends itself to needing a hero more than the current situation at Seton Hall, if that makes sense. If you've been watching San Diego State, and I know you have, we all have.
Always.
Their offense is trash right now. It's not good. Their offense is really, really not playing well. They today, this morning, they were playing Air Force, and they got down big. They needed a big comeback. They ended up winning pretty comfortably, but their offense is not doing well, and they're still playing decent defense, and that to me, is the recipe for the Kemba situation. Where if they continue to have these poor offensive nights, at Nevada, Malachi Flynn scored 36, 38 it was it? I think it was 36.
36.
That's why I think I have him above Myles Powell. Not that he's a better player, but that San Diego State, they've only lost one game. but they're not playing their best basketball right now. The situation is a perfect storm is brewing where they're in a second round game and the whole team just 10 minutes in the game just looks at Malachi Flynn is like, you have to save us.
Wetzel's looking at him. He's like, just take the ball.
I can't do this. And he's like, all right, I'll do it. And then he scores 40 points and they win. But I don't think, I don't think they're going to win the national title. I don't think he's a better player or anything like that. But I think that situation is
I think my Boris Diaw candidate is Matt Mitchell to be the Boris Diaw of the tournament. So that will be my pick, Matt Mitchell for San Diego State. All right, my number one pick, and this is the one that I'm really excited about because it's a lock, and it's been a lock since we basically started this. Since we relaunched the podcast, there's been one team, there's been one central focus, and that is the redemption of Bill Self, of William Self, the man that refuses to go to the San Antonio Spurs out of pride and out of respect for Adidas and Kansas.
Yes.
And I say that in that order.
Yeah.
Out of respect for Adidas and for Kansas.
Did you see that go ahead, say your pick. I'll let you finish it.
The point guard of that team, you know who he is.
Okay.
Devin Dotson. And a guy that's going to basically come into his own because Azubuike is obviously 31 points, 14 career high in his senior night, his last game in Lawrence, Kansas. But Dotson is still figuring it out a little bit, and I think we've seen him play at his worst when he played against Trey Jones earlier in the year.
Right.
He has those demons to get over. I like the whole redemption story of Kansas. I like Bill Self in the tournament, and I like Dotson to be the Kemba candidate that carries them to a title.
It's really interesting the last couple of weeks how Kansas has emerged. We felt like they're the best team all season, but even then there's a little hesitancy because you're like, Baylor is obviously really good. San Diego State was undefeated at the time. Dayton is playing really well. But it feels like the consensus.
And last year we saw them fall apart. I mean, we saw them at the Champions Classic blowing out Michigan State, and then as the season wore on, we lost LeGerald Vick, and their whole team kind of blew up, and Grimes ended up transferring.
But we've reached a point though where Kansas seems to be the runaway favorite. It's like it feels it's not quite this severe, but it's starting to trend that way to where if you start paying attention to how people are talking about this tournament and the landscape of college basketball, that it's like positioning towards a Kansas versus everyone else feel going into the tournament, which is wild. And to a similar trajectory, I would say, is to me, Dotson was the best player on Kansas all season. And it feels like the last 2 or 3 weeks, Azubuike, everyone's like, Azubuike might be a first-team All-American, and Dotson isn't really. I feel like if you polled people and asked them who the best player on Kansas is right now, Azubuike would get like 70% of the vote, and I don't necessarily think that's been true the entire season.
No, he was benched at one point.
Yeah, but I guess that might go hand in hand. That might be why people like Azubuike has been playing so well recently that now people are like, oh my god, if Kansas is getting that Azubuike to go with that Dotson to go with those athletic wings that they have and the great defense they can play, they're far and away the best team in college basketball. So. Yeah, I'm with you that Dotson is good enough, but I don't think Dotson's going to ever. I don't think there's ever going to be a game where Kansas is going to be like, Dotson, we need you to carry us.
And see, I think that may happen because Azubuike, I don't trust the health aspect. I mean, he's got a little Joel Embiid in him where it's like if Azubuike gets in the tournament and in a game he goes down or something like
or
that,
foul trouble, or something
has
like
to
that,
miss like 6 to 8 minutes of real actual game action, and they need someone to score points. Dotson's got the ball in his hands. Let's see what happens. I think he can do it. So, and you have to win at the end of the day. You have to win the title. That's the whole point of the Kemba candidate. He has to actually win. So Dotson can win.
That is true. He does have to win. We're all over the place with our with our stipulations because like Malachi Flynn is. I don't think he's winning the title.
Look, when Kemba happened, it didn't make sense. You know what I mean? So
that
everyone
is true.
had to find their own stipulations.
So maybe that's why I like Malachi Flynn as a Kemba because you're trying to pick someone who like it would be kind of surprising if they won the title.
Yeah,
and I think. Maybe Malachi Flynn deserves to be number one for me because, it would be very surprising if San Diego State won the title. And I think the only way they can win the title is if he just goes absolutely nuts. So that might be my number one pick. But anyway, it's not. My number one pick is a guy in a similar situation, a guy who also played in the Champions Classic, but a similar situation as Dotson in that his big man is playing out of his mind right now. It is Cassius Winston of the Michigan State Spartans, who Michigan State in general is peaking at the right time, Tate. I'm not sure if you've been paying attention.
Mr. March.
Mr. March is here.
Never left.
Michigan State is going to win a piece of the Big Ten title. They might win it outright. I don't know how the math is going to. I think like Maryland has to lose to Michigan now. Wisconsin has to lose at Indiana. Yeah, but anyway, they're going to win a piece of it. Vegas has thought they're the best team in the Big Ten all year. Maryland fans disagreed for a long stretch, and then now Maryland fans are like, all right, maybe you're right.
Tip of the cap.
But no, Cassius Winston is a senior. He's a point guard, a senior point guard who was at the Final Four last year. He's obviously can score in bunches. We know all of what happened at the start of the season with his brother and his brother committing suicide and all of the the kind of weight that he's been carrying like that. I envision a scenario where it seems like they've turned the corner at Michigan State, and you and I talked about them for a long time. Where like we thought like they weren't winning like they should have been. Whatever, was it adversity? Was it injuries? You know, Langford is out. They were counting on Langford playing, and he obviously has been out all year. There came a stretch where it was like, I don't think it was any of that stuff. I think they were just playing bad basketball. Like adversity and injuries had nothing to do with Aaron Henry playing poorly or Rocket Watts like being so inconsistent, all that kind of stuff. They're all seem to be playing well right now, but I think Winston, now that everything is kind of falling into place for him, I saw an article today. Tom Izzo was talking about just kind of how hard it was to coach Winston, and now he's had a heart-to-heart with the Winston family about like, because we discussed that too of like, how can you yell at a kid like if Cassius Winston's in practice and he's not giving 100%? How do you really yell at him when given what he's been through? So, and it seems like they figured all that out, and they kind of have it all in line at the right time. And I just envision a world where Cassius Winston is sort of playing with house money in the sense that like he's got a bigger picture of what matters in life. And this game doesn't matter. And if we lose, who cares? There's more important things in life. So I'm just going to go ball out, have some fun, see what happens. And would you look at that? What happened is I scored 40 and we won the national title.
And it's been 20 years since we won a national title for the Big Ten and for Michigan State. And we talked about that at the beginning of the year. I mean, outside of the Kansas storyline with Bill Self getting redemption, the Michigan State Big Ten story to get back into the main fold and get back in the national spotlight with Cassius Winston carrying that team, it made a lot of sense. I mean, it seems like, okay, it all checks the boxes here. And they fell apart for a little period of time, as we both know. But again, Mr. March is here. And
Mr. March
Cassius
is here.
Winston is number one.
He's not Mr. April, though. That's the problem. He's Mr. March.
April does come.
That is the problem.
We think. We don't know. We don't know. There's lots of things that are going on in the world. I mean, there could be. Who knows if a final.
What if the Final Four? This is. I'm calling my shot. Michigan State, like whatever regional Michigan State gets in, they're steamrolling everybody. Then the other three regionals are absolute chaos, and we get we do get a 2011 all over again. We're like Michigan State is. What are they going to be? A 4 seed, maybe 3 seed.
Let's say 3 seed.
Yeah, whatever. They're three. That's UConn. There you go. That was UConn in 2011. They're 3 seed. They steamroll through their regional. They make the Final Four, and then every other region is like 11, a 7, and a 9 or whatever it is. And we're going into the Final Four, and then the NCAA cancels it because of coronavirus. And then they're just like, sorry, we're just not going to crown a champion this year. And all the Michigan State fans are like, are you kidding me?
Well, it
was on a platter for us.
You just have to claim it. That's the first thing you have to do. You have to put out a newspaper from the Detroit Free Press that says we are the national champions.
Yes,
because that's what lives. The written word will live. Yes. You will be national champions if you put that out.
I'm with you. I think that's what you got to do. I think the Big Ten would do the same. I think
cashing in. We are the champs. Michigan State rolls to another national championship. Love that.
While we're power ranking things, should we power rank our conference tournaments we're most excited about?
Yes.
Because there's some going on right now, obviously. Some of the smaller ones are going on. I talked earlier about San Diego State needing a comeback against Air Force. But the power ones all start next week. So this is the last show we're going to do before the power conference tournament starts. Real quickly,
we'll do a show Tuesday, right? Before the full power conference.
I thought they.
Well, most of them start on Tuesday. ACC starts on Tuesday.
All right, they start on Tuesday. All right, we'll
still talk about it.
All right,
we'll keep talking about it.
I thought one of them started on Monday. Then maybe I'm thinking of the old Big East when they had like quadruple buys.
Look, old Big East, if they could, they'd still be playing a tournament right now. You know what I mean? This tournament would have never ended if it was the old Big East. But I can't get it now.
Whatever. Maybe we are doing one more show, but I'm going to Dayton this weekend for the game, and I will be very hungover for that show. So I want to do this now before that happens. What tournaments are we most excited about? Before we get into it, let's set the stage a little bit. How much do conference tournaments care to you? Because you're an ACC guy. The ACC famously only crowns the conference tournament champion. If you win the regular season, you don't actually get to hang a banner, even though literally every program hangs a banner and everyone recognizes it. Duke fans on Twitter say that doesn't actually count. So as an ACC guy, is the ACC tournament and conference tournaments in general, do they matter?
The ACC tournament used to matter when it was strictly in Greensboro. And then a man by the name of Jim Boeheim said that he would never travel down to podunk town of Greensboro, North Carolina. And that changed things. And again, North Carolina decided to start playing. And, the ACC in general started playing in the Barclays Center and all these other places. But that's a whole different story. To me, conference tournaments it's all about strategy by winning enough games to keep your seed.
right?
But not winning the whole thing, so you don't have to win
you're not tired.
12 straight games or whatever it may be. So it's like it's all about strategic placement. And if you're a team like Duke that is fueled by an ACC tournament run to a title, go for it. But if you're a team like North Carolina has been in the past, lose in the semifinal game or lose in the second round of Georgia Tech, throw it. No one cares.
Right.
You know what I mean? And honestly, that's what the ACC tournament is. I think collectively, for a team like Baylor, for the Big 12 tournament, that would mean a lot for them.
They need to do it.
They need to
Baylor
do it.
needs to win. I don't think Kansas does. I think,
Kansas is in the same boat of like just lose to whomever. If you play Texas Tech in the semifinals, it's fine to just lose that game, especially if it's a close one. Maybe just go down and get ready to be, a 1 seed and make a real run in the Midwest.
Right. I'm absolutely with you. And by the way, we're talking about power conference tournaments because the lower conferences obviously matter. The winner gets the automatic bid. It's captivating theater to flip it on ESPNU or whatever, CBS Sports Network 3 or whatever channel.
Or ESPN Plus or ACC Network or Longhorn Network or whatever.
Our bosses are saying plug some Fox. Fox Sports 1, Fox Sports 2, Fox
Sports South.
Yeah, all right. It's fun to turn it on and check the championship, and obviously there's a ton at stake in those games.
FXX.
But it is weird because the power conferences usually, like as you said, it's they're basically just playing for seeding. Obviously there are teams on the bubble who are trying to win to get in, but for the most part, when you get to the power conference championship games, those two teams are already in. The automatic bid doesn't really mean anything. It's just a matter of are we saving our legs? Do we want the trophy? Everyone will say they're playing for the trophy, but you and I are smarter than that. We figured it out.
Does it really matter? Like, do you remember those runs? Really, in the annals of time, do you remember the 2008 ACC tournament? I mean, I may remember it, and
No, I remember who wins Big Ten regular season champiomhips, but I do not remember.
People remember the regular season because it was enough time for you to kind of soak it all in and digest it and take it in. But
and because if you're a fan, you've pulled up the standings like 400 times where you're refreshing. You're like, okay, we're only 3.5 back now. And then you pull up your schedule and like, if we win these next 7 in a row, we haven't won more than 2 in a row yet this year.
Are like, if we only lose 3 of the next 7, we'll still stay.
Yeah. And you do that for 3 months or whatever it is. So by the time you realize you start doing the math and you're like, shit, we're out. You've already made note of like who's at the top and who you're chasing. So that's probably what
or you're like me and you just checked out. You're just I'm not looking at the standings. So you tell me what's going to happen.
So there it is. Yeah, well, I do like, if nothing else, it's an appetizer. It gets you in the mode of just waking up, turning on your TV, watching college basketball all day, for getting ready for the real thing. So with that in mind, let's go through our top 5.
Okay.
Because there are 5 power conferences, as we know. I'm not going to say which 5, so I'm going to let everyone argue over who the 5 are.
A lot of people think that certain teams are the 5.
No, let's do the top 5. So who do you have at number 5? What conference tournament are you 5th most looking forward to?
I think it's already happening right now. In fact, I know it is, and that is the WCC, and that's the West Coast Conference. And that is there's 2 reasons why I care about that tournament in general, and basically the 2 reasons are pretty easy. Mark Pope and BYU.
Those are
the 2 reasons that I care. Because right now with this tournament, Gonzaga, you need to pull the maneuver we were just discussing. Gonzaga does not need to win that tournament, of course. Like, they need to basically, again, put themselves in position to make a real run at the title.
They're already a 1 seed.
Yeah, and now's the time.
Yeah.
Now's the time to actually win the title. Mark Few can kind of get the quote-unquote haters off his back and do all that sort of stuff. But BYU and Mark Pope, they have the momentum. Things are going great. They kind of figured out who they are. Yoli Childs is back. They have a full rotation. They have a full team. We saw them in Maui. Now they've grown into this version of BYU, which I think is a very scary team in the tournament, but I would like them to win something that they can hang their hat on for Mark Pope. To just be like, this is this BYU team. This is who we are. Have a real identity. And now the WCC against Gonzaga in the final, that's the moment.
Here's the problem, though. If you're Gonzaga, I'm with you that you need to throw the game.
Throw the game.
You need to throw the game for this season, but are you worried that by giving BYU this momentum and having them beat you twice in 1 season,
it's fine.
Going into next year and beyond, like Mark Pope gets something rolling, and oh no, you've created Frankenstein. Frankenstein's monster. I'm sorry.
Mark Few was looking at all the chips on the table, and he's saying to himself, "How do I keep flying to Japan and Australia to recruit all these kids all the time?"
How is coronavirus going to affect Gonzaga's recruiting?
Who knows?
This is the story that has not been
exactly
coming to you on The Athletic by Seth Davis.
Mark Few's like, who really likes me? Roy Williams. You know what I can do? Position myself to be the next coach at Carolina, where I don't have to fly to Australia and Japan to find these superstar talents and then develop them into stars. to then try to win titles against all these other blue bloods. It's an easier path. That's a long-term plan. You know what I mean? But let Mark Pope be free. Let him go. Okay, so the WCC, that's my
WCC is your
BYU versus Gonzaga.
My number 5 pick is the American. We witnessed tonight Houston lost at UConn, and Tate, just wrap your mind around
Samson versus Hurley. Love it.
Wrap your mind around what is happening in the American right now. Tulsa, coached by Frank Haith, sits alone in first place in the American. Tulsa, if you go to any bracketologist on earth, any one of there's a million of them these days. Go to any of them. Nobody has Tulsa on the bubble. Tulsa is nowhere to be found on the bubble. And that's not because they're on the right side. They're not in the tournament. They have a very long way to go to get into the tournament.
But who is their head coach, Mark Titus?
Frank Haith is the head coach, Tate. So the American is positioned. America is positioned.
That's the first 4 Dayton game I've ever heard one. Tulsa.
You have to throw him a bone. The American is fascinating for that reason. Your number 1 seed in this tournament is going to be playing for an NCAA tournament. Like, they have to basically win out, it appears, to get an automatic bid. There's that. There's also Memphis is still in this conference. I don't know if you're aware of this, Tate. Yes. I don't know if you remember when at the start of the season, Penny Hardaway declared that Memphis was going to win the national championship. Memphis, if you go to any bracketologist website, nowhere to be found on the bubble. They have to win out to make the tournament as well. So Tulsa has to basically win out. Memphis has to win out. Houston is not playing particularly well. They lost at UConn today. I think Wichita State's on the bubble. I think Cincinnati's on the bubble, but I think they're probably in, but who knows? It's the bubble. You never really know.
Yeah, it might pop.
There's a lot of captivating stuff going on in the American, and for that reason, I will be tuning in to see how it all unfolds. That's a pretty good plug.
That was a really good plug. Yeah. Look at the camera next time.
What is the American on, like CBS Sports? Like, they should just take that rant and just play that on the commercial.
This is the American Conference. Mark Titus, who Dan Dockich doesn't even know, says that
Dan Dockich doesn't.
I'll never get over that. We'll never get over that. All right, I love that. I love the American. I thought you were going to say something about Dan Hurley and Samson like meeting each other. I was basically trying to WWE all these conference tournaments. Like, what do I want to see in the final? Like, who do I want to see play each other?
I want to see. I don't even know if I don't know what the bracket is. I don't have it in front of me. I don't know if it's completely decided either. But I want to see Tulsa and Memphis in the title game, and they like the winner gets the automatic bid, the loser is out, and Penny versus Frank Haith would be fascinating, to say the least.
Fascinating, to say the least. All right, number 4 on my list. This is the conference that you know the most about, so I'm basically just going to say, in my mind, the tournament that I care the 4th most about, the Big Ten tournament.
Okay.
And I know a lot of people in the world are going to say, well, don't they have like 10 teams that are actually going to make the tournament? There's no consensus team. You know, there's a lot of hot teams. People may say Ohio State is a really hot team that you may
Ohio State's playing well right now.
I mean, Illinois was a team that you would think about before they lost to Ohio State. I mean, Michigan's a team to talk about. Obviously, we mentioned Michigan State with Cassius Winston. I think the Big Ten is fascinating because I think Michigan is a team I actually like in the tournament because they are the Big Ten tournament team in my mind of recent, memory, at least with Beeline. So for me, I'm going to be watching Michigan. I'm going to be putting all my chips in on Michigan, to say the least.
Interesting.
But otherwise, you know more about the Big Ten. What else is going to happen?
I think Purdue's going to win it. I think that's what's going to happen.
Wait, what?
I think Purdue is going to.
Purdue is the best team in the country. Where's the bubble on Purdue? Because don't let that burst. Best team in the
thoughts and prayers to whoever gets an NIT 6th seed and has to play Purdue in the first round.
You're losing by 60 points.
You're losing. Yeah, Purdue is a 3 seed in Mackey Arena. Oh, it's a wrap. It's over. Oh my God, Purdue is going to blow Purdue, and then in the second round they're going to lose by 15 in the NIT. But that first round game, oh my God, it's going to be incredible.
Speaking of the NIT, did you see the Joe Biden clip that they put together that someone put out?
That was great.
That was like,
fantastic.
North Carolina, the NIT bracket announcement.
I know.
That really hurt.
The best part about it was all accurate, except he said Virginia at the beginning, which like I think Virginia's gonna make it. Virginia's gonna make it. Well, yeah, but it would have been better. It would have been better because I'm one of those guys. I'm the actually guy. I was like, Virginia is gonna make it. So technically, they should have just cut the. Virginia was the first one he said though. You could have cut the video off right there and then just started with.
When he said North Carolina, it killed me.
I know.
Because I saw the headline and I was like, I hope he doesn't say North Carolina.
It was so funny.
We're gonna stay at home, just like the Bernie people. We're gonna stay at home.
At number 4 for me, I have the A10 Tate.
Ooh,
yeah, played in Pittsburgh. And here's why. There are a couple notes we need to go over.
Well, Dayton, obviously.
I'm going to save the date notes. First of all, I'm going to say Richmond and Rhode Island are on the bubble. Which I'm fascinated with any conference tournament where you have teams that are on the bubble that are playing each other, and 2 teams enter, and only one team can win the thing. that is fascinating to me. But also, I actually just in general, like the A10 is Dayton. They're not going to get one bid. Surely one of those other teams got to get in. Even if Dayton, if Dayton wins the A10 tournament, surely they're going to get another, like Richmond or Rhode Island, right? I don't know. It just doesn't feel right.
I think Rhode Island really hurt
league.
themselves in that one game that everyone watched, because like I've seen Rhode Island play earlier in the year, and I'm like, Rhode Island's a pretty good team, and then Dayton played so great in that game that I don't know. I want to come. America, dismiss that game. Let Rhode Island.
Here's the problem with Dayton is that they are doing them. They're beating teams so badly, and we know that they've had some close scores here and there because they do the thing where they let teams hang around and then they
upset watch.
Yeah, and then everyone tunes in and then they turn it on. But for the most part, Dayton is killing these teams. And I think it's doing them a disservice because like last night they destroy Rhode Island, and people that aren't really paying a ton of attention. You just think to yourself, wow, Rhode Island really sucks. So Dayton doesn't play anybody. So I think Dayton's overrated. And it's like this like thing where like because they're beating, I think that's why they do the upset watch. Because they beat teams so badly, everyone thinks their schedule sucks. So therefore they're overrated. When really, if you make it look hard, it's like when my dad would beat my ass and I'd start crying after the first one, even though it didn't hurt. I knew that he would stop spanking me because he'd be like, obviously, it's that sort of logic.
Then they would circle around and then come back and then catch you laughing. He's like, "You laughing?" And you're like, "No, I'm crying.
Right. So if you make it look like it's difficult, everyone's like, "Wow, that's a real challenge." I think Dayton, there's that in play. But anyway, the Dayton note that I'm interested in with the A10 tournament, Dayton has to win out to get the one seed. I think San Diego State. That's the big debate with the NCAA tournament right now. Who gets the last one seed? Kansas, Baylor, Gonzaga already have them all locked up. Dayton and San Diego State are fighting for the last one. I believe San Diego State should lose on purpose. I've been saying it. I think San Diego State wants the 2 seed in the West. That's their best course of action to get to the Final Four. And Dayton wants the 1 seed in the East. Dayton fans would love that. They would love to have the 1 seed versus having. I think Dayton's going East either way. But point is, Dayton has to win out to get that 1 seed. That's very important to them. And if they run the table, and I'm getting ahead of myself because I am going to Dayton for this George Washington game on Saturday, but I'm assuming they're going to win that one. And then they run the table and win the A10 tournament. Only one other time has that happened where a team has gone undefeated in regular season and conference play in the A10. 1988 Temple team. So there's a little stat for you. So that's what's at stake right here.
And this is the highest ranking for Dayton since 1955, 1956. Number 3 in the AP poll.
Yeah.
So we're making history.
Yeah.
The Flyers are making history. And we're Team Dayton, and we believe in the Flyers. So I love that. And I also love Richmond. I think Richmond has a real shot to make the tournament, even if they don't win the tournament. So let's just keep pushing that narrative. Yeah, Richmond's a great team.
The A10 cannot get one bid. I can't.
We will not stand for that.
We have to get multiple bids in the A10. Okay.
All right. Number 3 for me, the MAC.
Okay.
Some action.
Let's go.
And it's really just because of one team, and one team I really like. A team in the tournament that is also from Ohio.
Every MAC team's from Ohio, I think.
The Akron Zips. I mean,
okay, all right.
I like this Akron team. I think they're a consensus to win the MAC, obviously. But we have a friend of the program, Sean Hurley, who we both know, and he only bets MAC basketball. And so he basically tells me everything about the MAC. I never cared about the MAC, honestly, until this man came into my life about 4 years ago. So I know about the Zips. I know the Zips are a really good team. I know that I'm going to watch them in the tournament because they're obviously going to win.
I know that if they win the tournament, LeBron will tweet something about how like those are my boys and
exactly. Yeah. LeBron James will be at an Akron game.
And then someone will reply like, name 3 players on the team, and be like, those are my boys.
He's like, they're called my boys. They are my boys. Okay, yeah. So the Akron Zips, Maction, I'm all
coached by John Gross. He was assistant at Ohio State when I was there. He's the guy that he was
at Illinois.
Yeah, he's at Illinois too. He's at OU. He is the coach at Ohio State. Fun little note about him as you're watching the MAC tournament. He is the coach that recruited me to be a manager at Ohio State. And he told me that being a manager, he explained it to me, it was basically like being a walk-on. He was like, if you're a manager, you'll practice against the team. You'll get to run scout team. It'll be great. You'll get to play a lot of basketball. And then I showed up and I was rebounding and wiping up Greg Oden's ball sweat. So thank you, John Gross.
Thank you, John Gross. And go Akron. Let's go Zips. Get a win.
My number 3 is the Big Ten. We already kind of touched on it. I just wanted to point out Wisconsin is still in the running for the number 1 seed in this tournament, Tate. That could happen. The Wisconsin Badgers, the Wisconsin Buzzcuts, flying under the radar. I don't like it. I don't like what's happening. I think for that reason, they're going to purposely lose at Indiana. You don't want to be the one. If you're this Wisconsin team, you do not want to be the 1 seed in the Big Ten tournament because that is drawing all sorts of eyeballs to you, entering the NCAA tournament. That's just like, that's a recipe for disaster. You do not want that. It'll be nice for like a moment. It'll be cool to be like, We did it. We were technically the 1 seed and the best conference in college basketball this year, and we're back and do that little thing. But it's a problem moving forward. You do not want to be the 1 seed if you're Wisconsin.
What are we going to talk about Kobe King, right? He left the team and they basically have gone on a full run without him. And I don't know.
We did a whole thing about is Greg Gar getting fired? We don't know.
This is the Kobe King theory, man. They got him out of the team and now they're making a real run. Now they're going to be the 1 seed potentially in the Big Ten. We did not mention Iowa in our first iteration of the Big Ten when they were my 4th pick. So I just wanted to point out Iowa has a real shot to make a run in the Big Ten tournament. I think Garza is a guy that controls tempo somehow. So just wanted to point out.
You haven't mentioned, I think, Maryland.
I will not mention Maryland.
So you're not mentioning Maryland. Okay.
Or Northwestern.
I'm trying to think of what else you left. You're definitely Nebraska, Northwestern. Minnesota, no? You don't believe
Marcus
in
Carr, Kemba candidate. There you go. If you want to do tournament Kemba candidates, Marcus Carr.
And Indiana, I don't think you mentioned that.
What is the opposite of a Kemba candidate?
Right. Devontae Green.
There you go.
We'll get my dad back.
That was for Coach Titus.
Get Dad back on the show with Devontae Green. That'd be great if Devontae.
Ooh.
The best part is when Devontae Green is balling out. And my dad texts me about it. Like he's always got something to complain about. He's like, yeah, he's got, he's hitting everything, but he's got 3 turnovers right now. There's always something.
Should have had 2 more steals if he could jump some passing lanes. All right,
God.
thanks, Coach Titus. Number 2?
Number 2 for you.
Number 2. This is one that I don't actually watch the tournament to the last game ever, but I always am intrigued by it. So that's why I had to put it number 2, and that's the Ivy League. And
ooh, okay. They just added the tournament. What was it, like 3 or 4 years ago?
Yeah.
They started
So now, so basically, since Tommy Amaker is anyone that's in the Duke coaching tree or in the North Carolina coaching tree, I kind of just see where they go. Like King Rice goes to Monmouth. I keep up with them, see what's going on. Tommy Amaker at Harvard, I pull for everyone except for Harvard. You know what I mean? It's kind of like my perfect storm of I've never liked Boston. I've always thought that those kids use education, act like they're better than people, and so like. MIT, Harvard, like that's right there. Like let's pull against them always. And I always liked the way that Yale played basketball. You know what I mean? I like
you like the Yale brand of basketball.
I think I'm a Yale kid, and I'm sure whoever works at Google or whatever from Yale, we got a sponsorship with Google coming up. So like this is for them also. Shout out to the Ivy League tournament. Shout out to those Yale kids that are doing stuff at Google. And I think that's the game. I think that'll be the championship game, Harvard versus Yale. So I'm gonna watch
That'd be fantastic. Yeah. I have not been following Ivy League basketball, unfortunately.
I don't follow it until the final game, and then I see the record.
But they have Ivy League. I think they still do because forever they didn't have a tournament. They were like the one league that didn't have the tournament, which is cool. The regular season winner got the automatic bid, and then now they do. I think it's just the top 4. Mm-hmm. So you have to still qualify for the tournament to make.
It's like the Champions League.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Harvard and Yale are in this.
Yeah, I don't know.
They're in the tournament. Yeah, I do know that.
This is part of your Pac-12 update where you're just making shit up.
I'm pretty sure Harvard and Yale are going to play in that tournament.
All right, pretty good. Speaking of Pac-12 update, my number 2 pick is the Pac-12.
Wow.
I've fallen in love with this league. It started as a joke. It was supposed to be a punishment that you would have to keep tabs on the Pac-12 because Carolina lost to Ohio State. It has now turned into me wishing that Ohio State lost in some weird way, so then I could have been the one to been keeping tabs on the Pac-12 all year. It's a madhouse. This league makes no sense. It has never made any sense, but this year in particular makes no sense.
Arizona is the favorite to win the tournament.
Are they?
Yeah, that makes no sense.
After what we've just seen from Arizona, like they just got swept on the LA trip. They very uninspiring basketball. Sean Miller's purposely getting ejected.
That is the Pac-12. They are the favorite. And in my mind, honestly, as I think about it, I'm like, yeah, I think Arizona should be the favorites. I think they're the best team in the Pac-12 if you just look at their roster.
Yeah, UCLA is in first place, and they're on the bubble, which is, it's funny when it happens to Tulsa and the American, but like we're talking about a power conference here. Like, what is going on? It is a conference where anybody can beat any. Like basically the Big East and the Big Ten and other deep conferences like that. I guess those would be the 2 that are the deepest, right? The big tag on those is that anybody can beat anybody on any given night. You don't know what to expect. But usually when you're talking about those 2, it's because every team is like good. There's like a certain level of like any team can bring it. With the Pac-12, it's like anybody can beat anybody because on any given night, Oregon could just play like absolute garbage and Colorado can get destroyed by Cal on the road. Like you have no idea what's going to happen. That always seems to be the tag with the Pac-12, and that's why I'll be tuning in because you have no idea what's going to happen when you turn the TV on.
The tag with the Pac-12 is anything is possible.
Yeah,
we're serious. Literally anything.
We mean it, yeah. And that is a threat.
And you're going to watch it. You're going to like it. That's Pac-12 basketball. I love that.
Right.
So this is number 2 on the list, Pac-12 basketball.
That's my number 2. What's your number 1?
Okay, so Pac-12 is not my number 1, unfortunately, for all those people out there that thought it would be. Number 1 is the Big 12 tournament, and it's basically for one man's ride, and it's the ride to the top, and it's Scott Drew. Scott Drew is a coach that he's met my parents. He was very nice to my parents.
He's met your parents.
He didn't even admit that he was a coach for quite some time until my mom didn't even know he was
a pastor.
No, he just didn't say anything. And then his wife finally was like, he's not going to say anything, but he's the coach of the Baylor men's basketball team. And my dad and mom were like, the guy that just lost to Duke in the Elite Eight, this is 2010. And so they started asking him why he lost that game. They're yelling at, he's like explaining the refs, being wooed by Coach K, not listening to him. Love Scott Drew, and I think this is the rise to the top.
Can we get a situation where it comes full circle and Scott Drew
beats Duke in the Elite Eight? We're at the game. You ask Scott Drew, do you have a message for the haters? And he's calling out your parents. Yes.
They are the haters.
Billy Frazier, he just like starts going off. She told me that, I had to man up against Coach K. She was like, you got to make a presence. You got to make it known.
I think the fact that Baylor has to win the Big 12
they have to.
tournament. They need it so badly.
They need it.
And Kansas does not need it. In fact, I would argue, as we did earlier, that Kansas would be better off not having it.
Bill Self, lose to Oklahoma State.
Yes.
That's the move.
I think because of all of that, the stage that we've just set right there, that's what's going to make it so depressing when Baylor loses to Kansas in the title game.
No. This is the year. This is the year. Scott Drew is a good coach. Scott Drew is going to the top. Scott Drew is going to win the Big 12. And then they are going to probably lose in the second round of the tournament. But they will win the Big 12 first.
I would love that. It would be cool.
But that's my number 1 storyline.
I would love that, and I think I would love even more that they lose in the title game. And once again, like Baylor does win 30-something games and has no trophies to show for it. But yeah, no, I'll be tuning in. It's great. Yeah, it'll be great.
Please.
No, in the same.
Please, Scott.
Also, Big 12. We got West Virginia, who was really hot there for a moment, has fallen off. Can they get it back, Tate? We'll find out. They've historically been pretty good in the Big 12 tournament, have they not?
Absolutely.
I seem to remember they have. And then Texas Tech is a team that's very fascinating. Very fascinating team. Davide's your guy.
Yes, he's the best. And I think that Chris Beard's ready to go. I think Texas Tech is the team that will knock out Kansas in the tournament if it ends up being aligned that way. I don't have the bracket in front of me. Texas Tech is a scary team.
Chris Beard, in the matter of like 2 years, has become a coach that is just absolute. He's Mr. March as well.
Yes,
he's
he's a tournament coach.
Absolutely terrified of that guy. But it's crazy how fast it happened. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve the reputation. It's just like usually guys have to go do it, 5, 6, 7 years. Give us these data points. Chris Beard was like, "No, I'm here. This is how it's gonna happen at Texas Tech." And now everyone's just like, "Oh my god."
Well, it's funny because everyone goes to Texas to these big schools, these huge contracts, and you see Texas A&M. It's like there's Buzz Williams, this huge contract, this great coach, not doing what Chris Beard's doing. Here's Shaka Smart at Texas, got all this money, not doing what Chris Beard's doing.
Right.
Look at TCU. There's Jamie down there, not doing what Chris is doing. There's Jankovic, the Larry Brown disciple, got the whole system built at SMU, not doing what we're doing at Texas Tech. Just saying.
I fell in love with Texas Tech fans at the national championship last year when every time they play Old Town Road.
Yes, they.
Oh my god!
I'm pretty sure that they made Old Town Road.
All these dudes in cowboy hats and start putting their guns up, and
it was a beautiful moment.
You got that Yosemite Sam mascot that they have.
Jared Culver's looking at the crowd and like, I think I'm good. What's going on?
That was great. My number 1 pick for the conference tournament I'm most excited about is because I'm a company man, the Big East.
Oh.
It's not because it's going to be on Fox. I promise that's not why I picked this. I picked it because the Big East.
The lawyers are leaving the room now.
And they're gone. And all right, the Big East just sucks. Screw the Big East. Listen, here's what you need to watch. I'm excited about the Big East because the Big East. It's the Big East and the Big Ten for me in terms of the two best. Which one's the best conference? It's kind of a dumb debate.
For me, it's the Big 12 this year.
Who actually cares?
Yeah, no one cares.
No one actually cares. But the one difference is the Big East. I will say, if you're like a neutral fan and you just want to turn on and be the most entertained you could possibly, you just want whatever. I said this earlier in the year. The Big East is the conference you want to follow. That is the conference to turn it. They have 6 of the top 30 offenses on KenPom, Tate. Does that have your attention?
What are those 6 teams?
I don't know. Probably Creighton. Probably.
No, I mean the usual suspects. Yeah. I mean, as you're about to list them out, I kind of have an idea.
Probably not DePaul. Probably not St. John's.
Yeah, we can knock them out pretty
Probably
quick.
not. No, so it's the Big East is basically the Big Ten if the Big Ten could score. is how I would classify it. And like Marquette's a ton of fun, like we said. Like for all the shit we give Marquette fans and for
Marcus
not
Howard
loving
is
Marcus
the guy
Howard,
in the tournament. Yeah,
like he's electric. Yeah, he scores a ton of points, and they don't play defense. What more do you want if you're just tuning in and wanting to be entertained for 2 hours?
To make a golf analogy for Marcus Howard, it's like he's a match play player. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's the kind of guy that you send out in a tournament atmosphere, and you're like, he can win us one. He's
Right.
not great, you know, any other time, but right now he's Sergio Garcia early on in his career. It's like, just send him out. He's gonna win.
He can win one.
Yeah, he can win one.
We can single-handedly win one.
point.
Yeah, and the red, like obviously Seton Hall is great. Creighton was red hot there for a little while, and then they lost at St. John's, and kind of, I don't know, everyone kind of lost their mojo there, or lost their excitement for.
But they shot like 14% that
yeah.
game too, and St. John shot like 63% from three. So
Villanova
Yes.
is playing good basketball. At least they did when they beat Seton Hall last night. Villanova is just a classic Villanova team that just jacks threes, and
Yes.
you don't know what they're gonna get. Ohio State beat the hell out of them too.
Yes.
And
Jay Wright lives and dies by the three.
Yeah.
And that's his.
But that's what I'm saying. So, like, if you don't care who wins any of these games and you're just like a fan that wants to throw in some basketball and be entertained, with Gus Johnson on the call, are you crazy? It's got to be the Big East. That's my number one by a mile. That's my pick.
I like it. That's a good pick. I mean, that's a good rundown.
So
of
there it is.
I would say.
I love that you and I did not even compare notes on this, and yet we still came up with like
different tournaments.
And different Kemba candidates as well. That was good.
And the things that like we always look for in the tournament weekend, because nowadays, like, I'm not even trying to play the game where I'm like, oh, I really care what happens in the Mountain West tournament. Let me tune in. I'm just like, what actually matters in this world? It's like, let me pick my spots. I do care about the Ivy League tournament. I really want to stress that. I always watch that somehow. I don't know why.
Someone's gonna tweet at you and be like, sorry, Tate, the Ivy League's not on TV. And you're like, all right, well.
I'm like, what have I been watching?
Well, I guess I didn't care as much as I thought. That's all right.
It's okay.
All right, it's time to do it. Let's get to it. This is our interview with Mick Cronin. I don't think anything else needs to be said other than I just want to reiterate. I want to get ahead of it. I was very, very nervous, Tate. I can't stress this enough.
I can't believe he actually answered the phone.
I can only imagine how officials feel going into a game where Mick Cronin is on the sidelines, because I was just talking to him on the phone and I was scared. But anyway, I thought it turned out well. Here it is, Mick Cronin. All right, joining us now on the phone is the head coach of your mighty UCLA Bruins. Coach, it's Mick Cronin. That's the spoiler alert. This is happening. Coach, you guys are the hottest team in the country right now. We just have to start here. You on January 15th, you were 8-9. You lose at home to Stanford by 15. You are now in first place as of this recording. I think Oregon plays tonight.
Yes.
But the game is not taking place right now. As of right now, you are in first place by yourself in the Pac-12. From the man who knows this team better than anyone, how did this happen? How did we get here?
You want the truth, or you want me to act like I'm smart?
Act like you're smart, Coach. Let the people know.
Act like I'm smart and say, "Oh, I knew it was going to happen all along. We made the right adjustments. It was all coaching."
There you go.
But that would be a bunch of you know what. So the truth is, I think we were very young. I needed to make some of the coaching changes and adjustments to our playing rotations, our offensive schemes, our defensive rotations, some things we were doing. And I think we got in better shape as the year went on. Cody Riley, Tiger Campbell, David Singleton. Cody just because he needed to, because of the way he's built. The other two because of their injuries. I think we started taking better shots, and guys started doing what they could do, quit trying to do things they couldn't do. So it's just a lot of things needed to change for us to give ourselves a chance to win. And look, we've been blowing people out, but we had played great at Arizona and Utah. But you're playing Power 5 basketball. You're not blowing people out. You got to just grind out wins. We've done what we've needed to do to just give ourselves a chance. Mm-hmm. And then, hey, you got to give the players credit. Now, late in the games, we've been down in the second half of, I know 5 of our last 7. And we've been able to turn it around. So a lot of resiliency that we've shown, a lot of toughness the guys have shown, and guys have made plays. Hey, when guys make, Cody Riley's big in some of those games down the stretch offensively. Tiger's been rock solid. We've had different guys step up. So I think our guys changed the narrative about the personnel on the UCLA Bruins. You hear all, they're soft, they're selfish. the guys have shown that they're not, that they're willing to play to win, and they're willing to play with some toughness and fight. And it's been fun to be a part of it.
One of those guys that stepped up that you said is Jake Hyman. I want to understand your thought process going into the game with how much you play Jake Hyman. We should say this. Tate and I both came to the last two games,
yes.
the Arizona State and the Arizona games. And we were there in the arena when he's hitting everything against Arizona State. The place is electric. People are losing their minds. I feel like if that's the only game you watch, you're thinking to yourself, is Jake Hyman? Is this guy like an All-American?
Capono? Who is this?
Exactly.
So then you go look at like his box scores over the course of the season. And there's some games where he's not playing that much, and then other games, obviously at Washington he had a big game as well. What is your thought process behind how you use Jake Hyman? Is it like you throw him in there, he misses 2 shots, his ass is on the bench the rest of the night, or is it not that severe?
It's funny. I think that it's for me, it's more based on our opponent, not how Jake's doing. Jake has gotten better defensively, and even more so, he's learned to he's never going to be a great rebounder, but he's made some plays where he had a big rebound late. I think it was against Arizona State. Mm-hmm. He's what I call, he's learning to get in the fight. Like he's not abstaining from any contact. So he's learned to get in the fight on defense and rebounding. They're never going to be his strengths, but he's fighting and scrapping, which gets him more minutes. Then when he does that, I can keep him out there. But people obviously try to exploit him on that, on his defense and his rebounding. So, and then the last part of that, guys, some people they're strategically, their teams are just trained to help at all times, regardless of who they're guarding, who they're defending. And you guys, you've heard of, the pack line theory. The pack line teams, they don't care who it is. They're in the pack line. Mm-hmm. Well, if you're in the pack line against Jake, he can really hurt you. Mm-hmm. You're inside that 17-foot mark. Other teams don't leave Jake. So some of it is based off how the other team's defending.
Was that a threat to Tony Bennett, Coach? Or
yeah,
were you saying
so.
That Jake Hyman, he's watch out for the Wahoos?
Well, Tony started he started a whole
new
movement
wave
because the pack line is everywhere. I mean, they're obviously they're the best at it, but there's a lot of teams in our conference that do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Arizona's one of them. Go ahead.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, we always ask any coach that comes on the program about what coaching tree that they kind of affiliate with. We had Coach Lavin on the program, and, we gave him the rundown of his choices. He decided to go with Coach Wooden. Pretty good choice when you think about, what he was able to do at UCLA. And we know that you've been with Coach Huggins, with Coach Pitino, and obviously you got your father, that could also be on that list, Mick Cronin, we know. So when you look at the coaching tree, do you care about that? Do you put yourself in a specific coaching tree?
Just
and who would
Wooden.
you pick?
Coach, can I answer for you? You should just say John Wooden. I think if you're the coach at UCLA, you just say I'm in the John Wooden coaching tree at all times.
Yes.
I think that's
my regret, obviously, is I didn't, there was a lot of guys before me that got a chance to know Coach Wooden and just spend time with him. So that would be a regret. I never got a chance to do that. But I would tell you this, I guess it would be for me. I mean, I wouldn't be coaching if I wasn't the son of a coach. I was the son of a great high school coach. His friends were coaches, and I'm the product of my environment. It's how I grew up. I thought everybody knew how to break a 2-2 on press in second grade. So, I mean, it would start with my dad, but, Coach Pitino and I are very close friends. Kevin Willard would be my best friend. It's an active coach. We work together at Louisville. Scott Davenport's the best Division II coach in college basketball at Bellarmine. So we were all, Richard Pitino's close, and Ralph Willard, who is is a consigliere for me. So that group of guys that stem from Coach Pitino are my best friends in coaching. So those are the guys I really talk to the most about basketball type of stuff.
Well, we love Coach Pitino, so that's good to hear. So we'll file it now, Coach Pitino coaching tree.
Speaking of being your father's son, being a Cincinnati guy, you were obviously the coach of Cincinnati forever. Cincinnati is your alma mater. I want to go back a year to when, almost a year ago, when you took the job at UCLA. I don't think I don't think this needs to be explained to you that the coaching search was an interesting one for UCLA. What was it like from your perspective? I know you've answered this question a million times, but we've never asked it to you. From your
That's
perspective, how the UCLA coaching search unwound? Like, were you in the hunt at the whole time? Like, what was it all from? How did you see it all playing out, and how did you end up actually getting the job out there?
Mm-hmm.
It was very different for me than for you guys, because you're trying to find out what's going on, and I know what's going on.
Right.
So, I mean, I think here's the bottom line. The administration decided to take a swing at a few guys. Obviously, and when you do that in coaching searches, some guys, people have taken a swing at me, and you didn't even know it, and I won't even tell you who it was.
Ted Valentine.
Because I just told him.
It was Ted Valentine.
I told him I'm not interested.
Oh, you mean like hiring swing? Okay. I thought you meant like took a literal swing. Yeah.
Other people say, I've had, other people, they're going to use it. They're going to put it in the media. They're going to use it to get a new contract. And that goes on. It happens. But I think sometimes, it's a tough spot for an administration, because your fan base thinks, well, why didn't we take a swing at that guy?
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is that you're not going to get him. And if you don't get him, then people think, well, your coaching search is a mess.
Mm-hmm.
When you knew you weren't going to get him, but you had to say you took a swing at him. So I'm glad I'm not an AD, because you can't win in those scenarios.
Yeah.
So I think what you guys don't, people don't know, that at the end of the day, it was going to go a certain way, and we all knew it, at the people that were involved.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a fact. I mean, this guy's probably going to use me to get more money at his school. This probably guy may use me for publicity, for whatever reason. But the problem is when it goes down, what if they would have just went and hired Mick Cronin? Then you guys would all said, well, why didn't they go after John Calipari at UCLA?
Yeah.
They can't win either way, is what I'm telling you.
Yeah,
so, but behind the scenes, for me, it was real simple. I kind of felt like I knew what was going to happen, and I prepared for it to happen. And so when it came to that point, I was ready to make my decision.
Was any part of you? So I'm fascinated with that. Ultimately, you're the guy that got the job. I've turned this into like sort of a bit that I do, because when I think of like Los Angeles and the culture of LA, no disrespect to you, Coach, but you are not on my list of people that I think of. I'm an Ohio guy. I lived in Ohio for 13 years. I was very familiar with your Cincinnati teams.
Now, do you live here now?
No, I live in LA now. Yeah, I moved out here about the same time you did. We should compare notes on our transition from Ohio.
Okay.
To LA. Yeah. But so I was just fascinated with that. How much did that play into your head? That like you have this culture. I know what the culture of Cincinnati is. I know what the culture of Cincinnati basketball is. And UCLA, the brand of UCLA basketball does not fit with like what your Cincinnati teams were. And it just seemed like a stylistic. It seemed like a clash. Obviously, it's working for you. Obviously, like you could say the same about Ben Howland when he took the job and he went to 3 straight Final Fours. So I'm an idiot, but it was just like an interesting pairing. How much did that go into your decision to come out here? Is that stuff you even think about? Or is it like, no, it's UCLA, I have to take this job?
Yeah, I'm going to say, I don't want to sound condescending. So what I would tell you is I think it's unfair, but I get why you think that way because of where we're from.
Yeah.
And you grow up and you think fast break, jump shots, nobody plays defense.
Right.
And I think it's because I get this asked all the time about recruiting out here and people out and just people out here. LA is a hard place. Tell me where it's harder to make it. I mean, it's not easy to make it. They're in Hollywood now. I mean, it's a hard place to make it. In any walk of life out here to be successful. I mean, your competition level is just as a regular student out here. For my daughter, like I had to give her that talk. It's going to be the competition's a lot harder to be the best student in your class. So I tell like high school basketball here is not what people back east think it is. I mean, I've seen World War IIIs and unbelievable coaching, tremendous talent, high level play.
Yeah.
I mean, it is not what you think because I thought how you thought, but I've been coming here my whole life recruiting, so I knew it was a fallacy.
Okay.
Dana Altman's like the Pac-12 is soft. That's all crazy. It's so people, but they're so wrong about that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you watch how hard Bobby makes his teams play at Arizona State, Sean at Arizona, Tad Boyle at Colorado. Dana Altman's been winning at Oregon because they play tremendous deep. They press. They change defenses. So I just don't. I think it's unfair to LA to label LA as soft, glitz, glamour. Everybody, like nobody works. Everybody's surfing and partying.
Right.
It's not true, Coach.
Realistic.
We're working.
It's hard to make it out here.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. And if you look at the Lakers and the Clippers guys, if they win it, it's because they defend and they play hard.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's just look at the two of the best three teams. If you go Milwaukee, LA, and then the Clippers, if you say those are the best three teams, it's because they defend and they play hard. So even the pro teams, I mean, the Showtime Lakers knock people on their ass now. I mean, Kurt Rambis was laying people out.
Yeah.
That's a good
Byron
point.
Scott was laying guys out now.
There
I mean, they might have been on the break, but they weren't whispering sweet nothing. So, John Wooden's teams weren't either. So I just don't think.
All right.
Like my thought process was never like I just don't think that. I have a lot of respect for how hard it is to be successful in Los Angeles, and but I get what you're saying. But obviously I'd like to get to the point here at UCLA where you have some 2 or 3 of the best players in the country,
Mm-hmm.
And you play hard, and you can win titles.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my thinking to get to really wrap up my ridiculously long answer.
No, it's a great answer. You're winning us over. You mentioned Bobby Hurley and Sean Miller. So we were in a Poly Pavilion for the 2 games you just won, your most recent 2 games. Sean Miller got ejected in one of these games, and I want to point out I was walking behind the benches as the ejection happened, and I noticed that you were as Sean is getting tossed from the game, you were ripping into the refs yourself, which I found fascinating. That like. That you'd think that you would like if Sean is that upset, you'd be like, no, I think these guys are doing a great job.
I'll be honest, I didn't see it happen. I still am not sure what happened because the play went the other way.
Yeah.
When it happened, I mean,
Yeah.
Then I heard Sean Tate was his first lifetime ejection. So,
I think it was a Norman Dale situation. I think he was trying to get thrown out on purpose. That was my analysis of it all.
Is that's your
Yeah.
You never know. Sometimes guys just it's, for whatever, maybe it doesn't feel well. So
I wanted to ask you though, do you take especially great pleasure beating those 2 guys, knowing that I would say the 3 of you are like the 3 fieriest coaches, certainly on the West Coast. You go against the grain of this perception of the West Coast being soft. All 3 of you are pretty crazy. So when you're sharing a sideline with a Bobby Hurley and a Sean Miller, do you feel like you got to amp it up a little more? Like what is the tug of war with the refs in that regard? Because they're working the refs, you're working the refs, obviously. What goes into that?
Yeah, I think everybody is. I think the more you move around and jump and run around, the more people will notice it. Yeah. I think Mike Krzyzewski's the best. He sneaks it in on you when the cameras go to commercial. Then he comes out of his huddle and he goes after him. So Bobby would be one because I think he just gets a workout in during the game. He's got Sean and I beat, which is probably smart because he gets his exercise in during the game. He's up and down the sideline. But he hasn't been his coach as long as Sean and I. So we've probably learned to not be quite as running around because we've probably fallen down before. Plus, if you look, Bobby's wearing those dress shoes with the white soles. So I think it gives him more traction so he can run around.
It's all a game. Coach, we actually went to your...
I know, I'm teasing. Hey, I tell you the last part of that, I appreciate these guys because they've now made me look like I'm like a calm veteran coach. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, Coach, because you keep the button on your jacket button. You know what I mean? I see like that's how you do your messaging. It's very Roy Williams. Like you'll I'm waiting for you to throw the jacket.
Yeah, I think that's the trick. If you leave the jacket on, no one cares what you say.
You never know.
When you throw the jacket, everyone thinks you're unhinged. So if you just leave your jacket on, you can be as crazy as you want, and everyone's like, he's still got it together. His jacket's on. But as soon as you throw it, they're like, he's lost his mind.
There you go. See, I think you're smart. See, you're picking things up. You guys are smart. You're picking it up. Jay Wright, keep it buttoned.
Yeah.
And just destroy the ref, but keep it buttoned.
There you go. There you go. Coach, we got one last thing for you here. We went to your press conference after the Arizona game, but I got a little intimidated because I like to ask the winning coach, especially when they've been down and out. So we saw you at the Maui Invitational. You guys, have had your rise back. And what we always ask the coaches is, do they have a message to the haters? Because obviously when things aren't going well, there's a lot of noise out there. There's a lot of people talking that don't know what they're talking about. And then when things go great, you have to, give them a message sometimes. So, Coach Cronin, do you have a message for the haters?
Yes. I don't even hear it when you hate, so you're wasting your time.
Look at that.
I'm worried. I'm spending time with my daughter, coaching my team. So if you're hating on me and thinking you're going to get a reaction, you probably ought to direct it somewhere else, because I didn't even know you were doing it.
He didn't even hear it. He didn't even hear it, Coach. We love that.
Oh, Coach. Oh,
no.
We lied. One last thing. We'll let you go. What we were in Maui for the Maui Invitational, and at the pre thing luau, we didn't see you there. Is there a story there? I don't mean to pry, but like we made a big deal about this.
I did the. I think they make the head coaches do other stuff. There was a head coach thing.
That's boring.
Yeah. Where the guys were up on the stage dancing with the fire and all that.
Yes, exactly.
We were trying to build a narrative, and
we thought that you were starting to send a message to your team. They're like, there's no time for dancing.
Yeah, I thought that's what it was.
Oh yeah. No. I only do on that stuff. You're right. There was something that they went to that I did not go to.
Yeah.
No, there's not, but then there was something they made me do. Yeah, I prefer to do none of it, to be honest.
That's why we love you.
We love you, Coach.
I'd rather just watch film, and, socializing gets old at times. When you got my job, you got to do a lot of stuff, man.
I know. It's crazy.
You got to do a lot of stuff. You got, and like, this is fun. You got to be able to laugh a little bit, because it's stressful having our job.
Yep.
And, especially now, everybody's nerves are frayed by March.
Yeah, well, we certainly hope the success you found recently continues, and you find your way into March. It is a weird position. You guys are like kind of on the bubble, but you're leading the Pac-12. I have you firmly in. If you're asking me, I'm no bracketologist, but you're firmly in right now. But you don't want to hear that. You want to keep winning. So good luck to you, Coach. Thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it. Good luck the rest of the day.
No, it's fun to be. It's fun to talk to you guys, and I promise you, I'm no bracketologist, nor do I want to be, because that means I'm out of a damn job.
We love it, Coach.
All right.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, guys.
All right. Thanks again to Mick Cronin for coming on the show, for being a trooper, for calling in when he had.
He's great at interviews.
Yeah.
Like I guess I never watched him much at Cincinnati with his press conference, the way he handles himself, but he's amazing. I appreciate it.
If you're going to be the head coach of UCLA, you got to know how to play the media game. And the man has figured it out, Tate. He's figured it out. If you win the media over, you've won your first. That's your first test as the head coach of UCLA, and he's winning us over.
And let's just be honest. I mean, the UCLA, like, they're not really like welcoming to the media. You know what I mean? Like, they kind of keep themselves away. Yeah. So it's like for Mick to be so gregarious.
You can say it. Why don't you say it? Say it. We went to the game, and the the media room didn't have any pizza left, and we were very upset.
No water, no nothing. I mean, if you went there as a reporter and you planned to eat that night, good luck.
I'm a simple man.
Go to Chick-fil-A.
People love this. People love when sports reporters complain about airlines in the media room.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the spread was.
Come work with me in the coal mine. You're like, you're a coal miner? Like, no, my granddad was. You're like, well, where do you work? It's like, Google. You're like, what? What do you do?
But be that as it may, the Diet Coke was room temperature, and it was unacceptable.
Yes.
No. Do you think there's ever going to be a time where we interview somebody and we come back from the interview and we're like, what an asshole? Because I feel like
every time we
have
come
no
back,
credibility with this. Every single time we're like, well, I'm a fan now.
I kind of like the guy.
I'll never make jokes about that guy again. I'm a huge fan.
He knew about the jokes though. They did know.
That's why we need to have Dockich on, because I will definitely not say that if he comes on. All right, shout outs and closeout, Tates. Let's get into it.
Yes. Quick shout out. North Carolina plays Duke this weekend, and I think this is
really.
Yeah, exactly.
They already played.
Oh yeah, but that game happened in the past. There's another.
They're playing
game
again.
Yes, there's a second installment.
I thought it was a rivalry. Tate, don't rivals only play once a year?
No. Twice, maybe 3 times on a good day. But anyways, Cole Anthony is liking all the Duke basketball tweets, like leading up to this. He's very involved, and I think that there's a chance North Carolina's playing.
It's a Kyle Guy
well.
move.
It's a very like, I see this. You know what I mean? This is bulletin board material.
Eyeballs.
Yeah.
Eyeballs with the finger pointed down.
Yeah. You guys see this? My brother's excited about it. I think he thinks Cole's in the right mindset. I think Carolina's made 21 threes in their past 2 games. Kemba candidate-wise, I kind of like Cole Anthony, but I don't want to say too much. So North Carolina plays Duke. Shout out to Cole Anthony. Shout out to Carolina.
If you're filling out your CBI bracket, keep that in mind. The Carolina Tar Heels.
They're
Cole
staying
Anthony.
home. They're staying at home. We will stay at home.
Yeah. So, what do we have a spread? Do we have any idea what's supposed to happen in this game?
I think that Duke is probably going to be favored. I would say by 9.5. I have not seen anything, but I'm going to just go ahead and say that off rip. But I think North Carolina has a real shot, and I did not think that before. But after the tweets, after the tweets, Cole Anthony has changed.
Well, I think this is a game, Tate, that you can throw the records out. And I think there's no love lost. And I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
That
both teams are going to have to play that night. Someone's got to win that game.
It's going to come down to who makes shots. I want to give a shout out to Snacks from Jackson State.
Yeah, that guy's
the
amazing.
SWAC player of the week. I feel like
we love the SWAC.
Anybody who's listening to the show knows who Snacks is, but for the 4 or 5 who don't, he was a team manager at it was Jacksonville State, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was the school that got into the game at the end. The little caveat with Snacks, we'll say he's thick. We'll say he's Zion-esque. He's got a Zion-esque build to him.
He's in the Zion playing tree.
And he became a viral sensation because as soon as he touched the ball, he let it rain from like 35 feet away and hit a shot and was literally named SWAC Player of the Week. That's what's hilarious to me. Is like the whole thing is funny in and of itself and fun and all that. But then on top of it, the SWAC said we name a player every single week to be the Player of the Week. We're picking Snacks. Congratulations, Snacks.
And let's just be quite frank. Every single time we deal with the SWAC team at the 3x3U tournament, we love the SWAC. They're a great conference. They have a lot of great characters. So, I mean, this is exciting.
They are great. The SWAC always comes in like they're so desperate for the money.
Yeah, they're
so
actually
fantastic.
like not playing around. They're like, we're here for the cash. Why do you guys have prop money?
They almost always, they always grab the prop money and get mad at us that it's not real. And they always, at one point, someone on the SWAC will grab the microphone out of my hand and then be like, give me that.
And start talking to other people in the crowd.
Yeah, cut a wrestling promo. It's great. It's great theater. We love that. So, shout out to them. I want to shout out Jay Huff as well. 17 straight points to start the game for Virginia. And this is coming on the heels of dominating Duke. Is Jay Huff a Kemba candidate? That's what the people are asking. Where is this coming from?
Honestly, I have no idea. Other than the fact that Tony Bennett is the new Dean Smith. I think Mick Cronin made that point today by talking about the pack line. Like, Tony Bennett is setting trends in college basketball. And Jay Huff, just seeing the success of someone like Jay Huff, or Kihei Clark, to be quite frank. You know what I mean? Like, these guys that are developed into what they become, I have to give my kudos to Tony Bennett because Jay Huff should not be doing this.
Can we get a Kihei Clark, Jay Huff, Manute Bol, Muggsy Bogues picture where they're holding the 3 basketballs? And, I really need that. I really need that in my life right now. We saw this from Jay Huff at Duke last year, though.
Jay Huff is a talented player. I'm just saying to get him to play at this high of a level and to be a supreme player.
Do you remember when he came in the game at Duke and was balling out for like a minute and a half and then Zion dunked on him and Tony put his ass on the bench and never put him in again, I think? But I don't know if that's true, but that's how I remember.
That was a Durham moment. You know what I mean? He's like, you want to play here? You don't like these kids. Get out there. Make it happen. 10 blocks.
You have any other shout-outs?
I just want to shout out, honestly, once again, shout out to Homage for the T-shirts. I want to shout out the fact that it is March. I want to shout out the fact that we're going to be covering college basketball full throttle moving forward. And we have all these games. You're going to go to Dayton. We just shout out that.
I am going to Dayton. Yeah, I've talked about it a little bit. So I impulsively decided, I was watching Dayton destroy Rhode Island last night. I kind of had it on my radar because I knew College Game Day was going there, and I had a lot of Dayton fans tweeting at me like, you should come. When we went to San Diego State, like, there were Dayton people like, when are you going to do this for us? Because they know we love them. So I was like, yeah, that'd be kind of funny if I went, but I'm not going to go. And then I was watching them last night. I realized I have family in Columbus, Ohio. I could just fly into there. I could stay there, drive over to Dayton. I started doing the math, and I said, this makes too much sense. I have to go, and I want to see this team play in front of their home crowd. And I feel like I've bitten off more than I can chew, though, because the response from Dayton fans seems like this is going to be just the wildest scene ever. Tickets are outrageous. Everyone, I tweeted
They're playing George Washington, right?
Yeah, who's like not even that good, but it's the final game. It's the best team they've had in school history, and it's their final time seeing them, and you know, in the front of the home crowd. I tweeted something about what's the beer policy because we ran into some problems at San Diego State. So I was like, I want to know what I'm getting myself into. And basically, one after another, everyone's like, we are going to get absolutely shit faced. So there will be beer at the game, and you should be drinking a lot of it. And I don't know. I'm a little worried, but it'll be a fun time.
Stay safe out there and go check out Akron because apparently the Akron
swing on up there to see Akron. I have a few more shout outs. I do want to shout out Kansas, like you said, won the Big 12, 62 conference titles. It's the most in the NCAA. No one's ever won more conference titles than Kansas. So congratulations, Kansas. The race to 69 is on. You have 62 right now. And conversely, Kansas State had 9-21, the most losses they've ever had in the history of their program, Tate. So that's the Kansas update for you. That's the sunflower status, we'll say. I also want to shout out Mike Bray, who after playing Florida State said there were 15 NBA scouts here. They weren't here for any of our guys. They were here for their guys, which was a fantastic comment as well.
The saddest thing I've seen in quite some time, Trent Forrest hits the shot, hits the layup to get them up. Notre Dame had won the race at 69. I'm thinking to myself, all right, Notre Dame's going to win this game. I'm talking, of course, about the Florida State Notre Dame game the other night. And Trent Forrest scores. I get the lead, and I'm like, oh, no, it's over. Rex Pfluger, he's running down the middle of the floor. He's yelling for the ball. It's his senior night. You know what I mean? He's yelling for the ball. And, like, Rex Pfluger has had some great moments, like the tip in, to get him the Elite Eight. We all remember that. But I've seen Rex Pfluger a lot over the years at Notre Dame. And just to see this moment where he was open, you know what I mean? And if they had thrown the ball to Rex Pfluger, he probably could have hit this like great shot. It would have been like his moment. Didn't get the pass. And then he just, did you see him slam the ball down at the end of the game? And I was just like,
did he really?
I was like, Notre Dame is my pick for the AC tournament dark horse after that moment. Because Pfluger's on fire.
Pfluger's also a Kemba candidate.
Mike Bray, Rex Pfluger, Kemba candidate. Mike Bray, he's going to be on another level. I can't believe he said that. I did not see that in the press conference. But that moment.
No, he's negging his team. Name a more iconic duo than ACC coaches negging their team this year?
Mike Bray.
I mean, that's what everyone's.
That's the run.
What's your stance on Mike Bray to UCLA now? Now that we've talked to Mick, now that Mick Cronin's our best friend.
I think after seeing Mike Bray and hearing what he said in that press conference,
You're
Mike
out.
Bray to Pepperdine.
Okay.
You gotta knock him down one level. Mike Bray to Pepperdine.
We just want to get him on the West Coast. A team that doesn't want to get on the West Coast, though, my final shout out is the Chicago State Cougars, who are not going to Seattle. This was big news in my world. They are not traveling to Seattle to play, and they're in the Western Athletic Conference.
Yeah, they're the WAC. And that's literal. Like that makes sense.
The coronavirus has saved Chicago State from another WAC loss. They are saying they're not playing. They're not flying to Washington because of Corona. And
are you serious?
This is a true story. Yeah, they said. They looked at the standing. I think they haven't won in the conference all year, and they decided now.
No, that's
this is perfect timing.
Yeah.
They should also hang
the
banner.
Draw.
If the coronavirus kills the Final Four and Michigan State's hanging a banner, I think Chicago State should as well. It should be like we would have won.
We're all champions.
Yeah,
in solidarity, we will all raise banners together.
All right, you have anything else?
I think San Diego State just put the banner up already. Like we're gonna get that up. Go ahead and put that up.
Listen, San Diego State, if you're going to raise the banner for 2020,
put it up.
Like, get some balls and raise, like,
national champion.
If they would have raised the national title banner or raise like a 2021 banner, now we're talking. Like, you should have raised like 3 banners at once. You should have said 2020 champs, 2021 champs, 2022 champs. Come get some, bitch.
They got the Larry O'Brien trophy down there. Kawhi. For Kawhi. This is Kawhi's Larry O'Brien trophy. He's going to win it this year. All right, can we talk to Moses?
Are we doing it?
Yeah.
All right, it's time for Moses picks. We have Moses. He is here. He is knocked out. It's been a long day. But I'm gonna pick him up. Are you ready? Are you ready to take? You got to give the play-by-play.
Yes. All right. Moses is on the ground, and Moses. What games are we doing? We got Winthrop.
There's one. There's one game. It's Wofford versus Citadel in the first round of the SoCon tournament. Come on, Moses.
This is a South Carolina showdown. Unlike anything we've seen in years.
Oh, this is the hardest part.
Wofford is a great team, by the way. So I would take Wofford in that game, 100%.
Let's get him locked in.
Here comes Moses. He's not sure what he wants, but he wants a snack.
Oh, he's going for the snacks already. Moses, come on.
All right, Moses is down.
All right, Moses is down. Here's what we got, Moses.
All right,
on the left we have Wofford. No cheating.
The Terriers, right? The Wofford Terriers.
The Wofford Terriers. On the right we have the Citadel Bulldogs, I believe. Moses, when you're ready,
make your choice. Wofford to the left. Go, Moses.
Oh, okay, wow. Make your pick.
He's thinking Citadel.
Okay.
He's really.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Pick one, Moses. Moses, we need an answer. We need an answer.
Honestly, I think this is him saying, I'm not going to watch.
This is fantastic. He's like, what channel is this on? I need to know first. Mose, okay.
Mose, which one?
Here, I got to prime him. Try a treat, Mose. That's what it tastes like. You like these treats.
This is the college basketball.
Okay,
you like
one.
college basketball, Moses. Take it.
Okay, pick one. This is fantastic theater. He's thinking about it. He doesn't know. He doesn't know. No pick. Okay. Okay. He's still sizing it up.
Mose, it looks like Citadel to me.
I feel like he's leaning Citadel. Go, Moses. Okay. Okay. Eat it. Eat the snack. Eat the tree. This was a great idea the first time we did it. And I think Moses is holding out.
Well, I think he's gotten in his own head. You know how this works in entertainment. Like, you become a star, then you get in your oown head about what you do. Moses, look, people want you to eat. It's not because they think you're big or anything. They just want you to eat a snack, make a pick.
Okay, Moses.
Oh, Citadel.
He's out of all of this. This is hilarious. You can watch all of this on Fox Sports YouTube page, by the way. Those of you listening, horrible segment, as it turns out, because Moses is not picking anything. It was supposed to go quickly, but I think he has to officially abstain. I think that's Moses. Do you want to abstain? Speak. Yeah.
Abstain.
I think you abstain once again. That's 2 in a row. I don't know. I feel like this next pick he makes next week is
that's
big,
gonna be a big
because
one.
you can't get a reputation, Moses. We understand where you're coming from right now, but you can't have a reputation of
hard to work with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. You don't want people saying that about you as a talent.
I think that's what's going on. I think he saw the numbers the videos were doing the first time, and he's holding out now. He's like, I'm not doing this for free, bitch. Give me some money. So,
tell us your day rate.
All right. That's it. That's the show. I will see everyone in Dayton this weekend. Thank you guys for listening. Anything else, Tate?
No, we'll see you on Tuesday and stay safe in Dayton.
Speak.
Nice.
For the best access, perspective, and personalities in all of sports, follow us at Fox Sports on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.